Hello everyone! Prodiscus in Finland was kind enough to sponsor me for the Steilacoom Open this past weekend, and they sent me a box of discs. I wanted to talk to you about flight numbers and how I tried to study these discs and how you can use them. Now, even if you don't carry Prodiscus in your bag, I'm intending these videos to be useful for anyone who's a beginner trying to learn when do you choose what flight numbers to use on certain holes. I'm going to do this video about their putters and their mid-range, and then I'll cover their drivers in the next video. For the traditional putter, they have the Sparta, which is kind of a deep rim like an AVR. It's got no bead. Then they have the Jokery, which is a thinner rim and very stable. And then the Starry is a kind of a turnover disc that is useful for upshots where you need to turn it over a little bit. And my favorite is the Midari, which is got a little bit of a bevel edge. It's a 5-speed, a little bit larger diameter, and it's amazing for upshots. Chasing Disc Golf and the overall title. It's available at The Right Life, Discovering the World, the Kit Carson Pro Shop in Escondido, and Package Express in Olympia, Washington. Also available on Amazon.com. It's 200 pages packed with stories about disc golf competition and training tips and competitive tips. Forward by Dan the Stork Rada. Now for putting, they've got, again, the Sparta and the Jokery. Jokery is going to be more overstable for long upshots. You're going to have to consider that. If you really want it to be pure flat and straight, you want to use the Sparta. If you're thinking about a hyzer upshot or where you're fighting into a headwind, then that's when the Jokery might be really handy. I'm going to try them right now for just short range putting and see how that goes. So now I'm going to try the Jokery, and I've got this in their premium and their Ultrium plastic. These are more stable, so I'm going to have to put them quite a bit flatter. Okay, those were just some short range putts, and I really like the feel of this plastic. It's not really going to help to judge the flight characteristics, the flight numbers for such a short range, but now I'm going to try some approach shots, and we're going to stretch it out to say 200, 250 feet and see how they fly that way. For those of you who might be familiar with the Steilacoom Disc Golf Park, I'm on the hole 14 southeast course, throwing from the drop zone. Now, it's still about 320 feet to the basket. I'm not going for the basket right now. I'm just trying to throw 250 feet up shots, see if I can keep them on the fairway. In other words, I want all these discs to land perfectly straight in between the very narrow out of bounds zones here. So I'm going to start off with the Sparta. The turn, that's a 0, so it means it should go perfectly straight, and the last digit is the fade, and that's a 1. So it should finish a little bit right to left if I throw it high enough. Also, I'm facing about a 5 to 8 mile per hour headwind that's pushing a little bit to the right. Wow, that went exactly on a straight line the whole way. Excellent. The Jokery is the narrower rim of the putters, and it has a glide of 3, a little less than the Sparta. So in order to get the same distance, I'm going to have to throw it a little harder or try a little anhyzer, because it also has the 4th digit, which is the fade is a 2, so that's greater than the Sparta. So this is going to tend to go to the left, but like I said, I got this headwind pushing to the right. So the Jokery should be able to fight that headwind a little bit. If I just keep it flat, it should be okay. Okay, that's pretty good. It went pretty straight, or ended up pretty straight. I did have to put a little bit of hyzer on that. Oh no. That wasn't the wind, that was just a bad aim. The Starry has the 3rd digit is the turn, and that's a -2. So that means that if I threw this perfectly flat like those last 4, it would be turning way to the right. Obviously, I don't want that on this straight fairway. So you wouldn't even use this on this fairway unless you needed to go out to the left and then come back to the right. So I'm going to have to simulate that there's some sort of a tree obstacle out here that I'm trying to get around on the left side. not very far down the fairway from me, if I want to get around that to the left and then come back to the right. So I'm going to try that. I'm not very experienced with this disc yet, so these could go out of bounds, but let's see if I can get them back onto the fairway. All right, that worked out really well. It came right back on the fairway. It definitely flew faster than the previous 4. Oh, you have to be aware of that. Once a disc turns and it shows that rim to the wind, that's like a sail, and it just carries it. So not only was the disc turning, but the wind was also pushing it. I still ended up on the fairway, and it went farther than the other discs because of a faster speed. Let me try that again. Okay, that's pretty cool. That one flew a long way because I gave it more height. It actually did a little flex curve at the end. So it got back close to the left side OB, but it had great distance on it and stayed on the fairway. Now I'm going to try a disc I really like, the Midari. Now this is a straight approach shot, and it's a speed 5. And because it has a turn of 0, it should go straight the entire way. All I have to do is worry about this little wind pushing it to the right. So I think just a tiny bit of hyzer might be okay. But it's going to go farther too, so I have to keep it under more control. Okay, it outdrove the Sparta and the others, but it was perfectly straight. So that's exactly what you expect out of this kind of a disc with a turn number of 0. Let me try one more Midari. Okay, so those were the upwind approach shots. Now I'm going to try downwind. I'm on hole 15 here at the magnificent Steilacoom Southeast course. This is about where a drive might end up. I'm about 240 feet from the basket, which you may not be able to see it, but it's just to the left of that tree, behind the tree. The objective here with these straight discs is to go hyzer around the right side of that tree and have it tuck in and with a little skip be parked under the basket. So I'm going to start off with the Sparta. Let's see how this goes. Okay, that's pretty good. That was actually an ace run. Ended up a tiny bit short. I did throw it way too high because there was risk of it getting in the branches there. So that gave it, the height that I put on it, gave it a lot of room to fall to the left, but it ended up being very close. So I'll try this one a little lower and go for the skip play to end up straight with the basket. Okay, it flew straight the entire way. It didn't get any skip to the left at all. So that's not a good strategy to try and play that skip. For this disc, it is going to turn left more at the end. So I might be able to get a skip with this if I threw the exact same flight as that last time. So let's give it. Okay, I missed my line. I went in front of the tree, so I got to put it a little farther out to the right and let the disc work back to the left. Right now I've got about a 10 mile per hour tailwind. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. That disc landed about 30 to 40 feet from the basket on the hyzer line and skipped right up to it. It's parked. Okay, now the Starry is the turnover disc. So if I go for this hyzer route, it's really not it's not designed for that. So instead, I'm going to flirt with the OB line on the left. There's a fence there. I'm going to try left to right hyzer. This is a much riskier shot, but if the right side was completely blocked off, this might have been my only option. So. Okay, it turned into a cut roller. I didn't turn it over the right degree. I've got to get much more familiar with the disc. Okay, that's not bad. It did turn a little like I wanted it to, but I ended up, I didn't put enough left to right and hyzer on that, so after it stalled out, it kept going kind of straight as it lost its momentum. It just kind of dropped straight down. So I'm looking at about a 40-footer there. Now for the last shot, I think it's the perfect disc for this hole or this scenario. This is the Midari. So it's high speed, meaning I can stay under the branches. The only reason the Sparta got up there close on that first shot was because I threw it so high and I risked getting hit down by the tree quite a bit. Somehow it got through. The Midari is going to let me, with the speed of 5, it's going to let me stay under that tree the whole way. If I throw it flat and play for the hyzer skip, it should end up close to the basket. Okay, that's excellent. Ended up about, I think I probably got about an 18, 20 footer. It stayed pretty straight, so that went kind of long to the right side. Let me see if I can put a little tiny more hyzer on it. Excellent. That's about 15 to 18 feet to the right side of the basket. Okay, I'm at hole 12, 342 feet. I'll zoom in and maybe you can see the basket behind the trees just a little bit. There's a big clump of about 6 trees about halfway down the fairway, and then much farther down there's another clump of 6 trees, and the basket is in the middle of those. Nestled right back in. The Sparta, because it's a stable disc, I'm going to need to land it very straight up and down vertically. It's also going to tend to push, probably go to the left as soon as it hits the ground, so I don't want to land it too early in the flight, but that means I got to really bend backwards to get it to stand up straight. Wow, that worked out really well. It just came up a little bit short, but it did a perfect inverted question mark curve. Let me see if I can put a little more distance on this one. Okay, that one hit the clump of trees right in front. Okay, now I'll try it with the Jokery, and this is even more stable than the Sparta, so I'm going to have to be very careful to make sure I stand it up straight. Okay, that one went left right away. I didn't stand it up vertical. Let's try again. Okay, now I'm going to try it with the Starry, which I think is an ideal disc for this type of hole. If I land it a little bit to the right and it cuts to the left, then it should stand up and turn back to the right, doing like an S-curve and end up close to the basket. That is looking really good. Okay, ended up about 30 feet to the right. I stood it up just a little too much, and it went right to the basket, but then it turned off to the right. So I'm about pin high, 30 feet off. Okay, good result. Almost the same as the last one, but just a little shorter. So I got about a 35 footer. A little short and to the right. All right, now I'll try it with the Midari. Now, because this is stable, I got to stand it up again a lot, but it does have a little more speed on it, so maybe it'll get the distance I need if I stand it up and land it at just the right spot. Wow, that is parked. I put more angle on that than I thought I should have done, but that allowed it to fly farther in the air and roll farther, and then it did have enough turnover at the end so that it rolled back right to the basket. Okay, that one wasn't bad actually. I did land it aiming off to the left. As soon as it landed, it cut left. But it somehow got through a couple of trees on the left side there, and then it did eventually turn back to the right, and I left myself with about a 40 footer there. I hope you enjoy the video. Please let me know in the comments any other training videos that you would like me to put together. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about their drivers, and please click like and subscribe.